Manchester United, Vish, are hosting Chelsea on Sunday at 4:30.
Yeah.
Chicken all round, a Sunday roast, if you will. Manchester United, of course, off the back of scoring 5 goals, brackets F-I-V-E.
Yeah. A turducken.
We haven't
One goal stuffed within another goal,
It was so good. I know you talked about it on Ramble Reacts. My goodness, Casemiro, it just give us a Carabao. Ten Hag's gone.
Yeah.
Come on. It was just superb.
Just quickly, we can't be stupider as a nation that we need brackets 5 for the number 5.
No, just
surely.
in case people misunderstood that Manchester United
because of the source. I see. Yeah, yeah. Do not adjust your sets.
Exactly.
It was.
You thought it was an S.
Have we submitted? What?
Scythe nil sounds like or Scythe 2 sounds like a Halloween pun.
Scored. It's 2-1. Yes.
Good stuff.
I mean, it's a proper new manager bounce. Well, I'll tell you what, Jim, that you love a new manager bounce is one of your favourite cliches in football.
It depends, doesn't it?
I'm telling you it is.
Okay.
And that you like it. He's telling you that you like it.
Manchester United, they've got Van Nistelrooy. Right, they've had the bounce there. They're going to have another bounce soon, aren't they?
It's a league bounce, isn't it?
Bouncy.
You bounce all over the different competitions, presumably. So.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And different days of the week.
Yeah, and different days of the week. And you got another one coming soon. She'll have a new manager soon.
Oh my goodness.
So I mean, that might be an even higher bounce, even harder bounce because of the volume of new managers.
Right.
But is it kind of an exciting time, Vish, at this point? I mean, you must be. I know you've touched on this quite a bit on the show already this week, but it must be a relief for this era to be over and this sense of the unknown to be back.
Yeah, I mean, you make it sound like we've just toppled a dictator.
Yeah.
I think the dressing room might feel like that's happened.
Well, it's weird because I think the players actually have been pretty hard-working considering, everything's relative, yeah, but I thought they'd throw in the towel long before. Well, they didn't even really throw in the towel against West Ham because they played quite well, but the thing I found interesting about the performance against Leicester was there were shades of early Solskjaer about it.
Yeah.
And at that point, he probably was taking over from a dictator.
Oh, yeah.
But it was the handbrake was off. All the forward players were let off the leash. The defenders could do what they want because they did concede quite a few chances as well, and it was just a bit fun. And I know
it was a striker manager performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a little bit. He almost went in there and be like, "Look, I love goals.
Yeah,
give me some goals."
Do you think Casemiro? I know you score, but less shooting from outside the box. It's not really how I operate.
No. Well, isn't that I'm extrapolating that probably too much here, but Ten Hag really tried to force them into a system that he couldn't necessarily articulate, the one that he had in his head, but he couldn't, bring out on the field and get the players to adhere to through, a myriad of reasons. And I always presumed one of those was just don't shoot from range, because that's quite a common modern trope. Yeah. And so, Casemiro just gets out of his feet, bangs it in the top corner. It couldn't have been more top corner.
Oh my goodness, it was.
He could have done that every week.
Well,
we wouldn't have been talking about how poor he's been.
That's what they're missing. He's now on number 10. Just stick him up there.
He's just
you can't be dispossessed if you're pinging him into the top corner.
Exactly. He's turning into our Karamoglu 2 guy.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Do you think though that Van Nistelrooy thought that because Rúben Amorim,
Interim?
Wow, sadly not. That would have been nice. Man United apparently they've reached a full agreement with Sporting for young Rubes, and the chat is that he will be joining Manchester United during the upcoming international break. So still a few more games for Sporting. And what I would say on behalf of Manchester United fans is experiment in those games for Sporting. Just try anything. But on the spirit of that, Jim, do you think Van Nistelrooy, there was chat that he was going to get just the one match, because there was even talk that Amorim might be in charge for the Chelsea game. Of course, that's not going to happen now. Do you think Van Nistelrooy did think, just enjoy yourselves, lads, get out there? And he was like, actually, it's quite lucky. I need to be a bit more sensible now for these games.
To be honest, I think because Van Nistelrooy has had experience as a head coach before at PSV, isn't he? So he's limited. He knows these players. Limited, but it's not nothing, is it? So I think he would have. I think there was very much a game plan there, and as you're right to mention the time he had, but I don't think this was a sort of free hit. Just go out there and have fun, lads. I think there would have been a bit more to it than that.
Anything else you're going to pour cold water on a Friday?
Well, we'll see what other nonsense you come up with, I suppose.
All right, I want to talk about. No, I'm not going to.
Speaking of cold water, though, I mean, you've got to think why are you delaying getting to Manchester from Lisbon? That's going to be a long winter, isn't it?
The funny thing about
you and your Portuguese backroom staff. Oh no, you've had a stinker, lads.
Well, Marcus mentioned it there. They've got 3 more games, and one of them's against City, which is really, really interesting. It's
Statement
just to
win.
do a little bit of research, just get some,
Lads,
do a little recce.
I will, I'm going after next game. I will pay each of you $1,000 if you hobble one of them.
They're already down to about the bare 11, aren't they?
Fair 13, yeah.
Yes, indeed. Well, Van Nistelrooy will be in charge of the game against Chelsea, of course, and then has a couple of others. He's got to play Leicester again, and Leicester are thinking, for crying out loud, we thought we were going to play our Man United voucher. We should have
Yeah, you'd be gutted, wouldn't you?
Oh, my goodness.
When did this expire?
When that guy walked out the building. Van Nistelrooy has appeared to offer his services to the new manager to help the club in any capacity.
I'm sure
he's very aware that Amorim likes to take as all managers do, especially nowadays, take a team with him.
You can get lost in the mix, couldn't you?
Oh, Pete, he was quite literally going. And bearing in mind, he was in charge of PSV Eindhoven recently. He won the Dutch Cup and finished second in the league, and he's now at Man United thinking, can I maybe see out the season?
He knows he's not getting his payout.
I'm happy.
I haven't got the money.
I'm happy to stay in any capacity. Clean the book. I'll do honestly anything.
Do you want me to show you around?
He was really clear about that. Do you want? I can show you on the pitch where I scored that goal.
I'm a good
against
tar
Fulham.
man. I'll fix the roof for a bit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fixing the roof with tar.
Yeah, but it is odd though because it's
better than nothing, which is what they're currently doing, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, hot tar falling from a great height.
Yeah,
Well, it does dry.
I suppose, yeah.
It's good for roofs.
in Manchester.
Yeah.
They won't dry, will it?
No, it's a good point, actually.
It's very misty
Good
at the moment
point.
as well. But I do think that Van Nistelrooy, I understand his offer, if you like, because he's not been at the club in a coaching managerial capacity long. Like, why would you kind of keep him on?
Yeah, and he just got fitted for his dashing manager's outfit.
I know.
He looked very good and very handsome.
From his point of view,
He's aged well.
He really has, actually, hasn't he? Yeah. From his point of view, it's a lovely gig, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a great place to be and a great environment to go back into, especially where you're so loved. But I guess
I think he's phoning up Ole going, how do you just stay around so long?
How have you fucked this up? It's a great gig.
But it's a great shop window as well for him, actually.
Exactly,
Isn't it? So
yeah.
these few games.
Well, a lot has been made of the fact that Rúben Amorim was mentored by Jose Mourinho, and I think that's absolutely right. That a lot should be made of that.
Because there's a lot of Pep disciples around.
There
A little
is.
bit of balance is good, right?
For the universe.
Indeed. For the Dark Lord.
But the intimation there is
Bit of
that...
sympathy for Thanos there.
But the intimation was that because Hugo Viana is going to Man City at the end of the season,
Right.
that Amorim would follow him. So you suggesting that this has been a long play that's now going awry because he was a sleeper agent for Mourinho.
The longest of all the long plays.
Go in and just take out the bottom bit brick by brick.
It wouldn't shock me if Mourinho, a long time ago, was very much devising Cold War tactics.
Massively. It was
Wouldn't shock
only
me at all.
it was a week or 2 weeks ago that the Guardian reported on its front page on the website that Amorim was being considered heavily to be Pep Guardiola's replacement. So that's it's a bit of a coup getting him. It might just be that they've seen that and gone, let's get that guy. He must be good.
Well, it does-
Almost certainly.
Yeah, it seems quite incredible that not that long ago he met representatives of West Ham United.
And then apologised for it?
To the sporting fans, yeah.
Yeah.
But reading between the lines, it always seems sort of fairly unlikely. So I suppose a young manager like this, okay, fine, let's hear what you've got to say, kind of thing. But Man United is the club for him.
A lot of people are making, pointing out correctly that the Portuguese league is very, very different from the Premier League, and obviously Erik ten Hag has come from the Dutch league, and there's a similar situation there. But I think Amorim has done pretty well whenever he's faced a side in Europe from one of the top leagues. Generally speaking, he's got a quite good record there. So, and obviously he's a young manager who appears to be someone who's very good at improving players. Victor Gyökeres may well have exploded after moving from Coventry to Lisbon under any manager, but I suppose
but he did it with
Amorim
him.
was the guy who was there, so presumably he takes some credit there as well. And I think it's
Previously managed Agate as well.
yeah, well, absolutely,
And,
so knows how to get the best out of him. you would
Indeed,
think.
so that's a lovely old job for him. I mean, I'd encourage anybody to obviously look up the sort of tactical pieces about Amorim and so on. But I mean, he loves a back three. We know he loves to play possession based, sort of in your face, kind of aggressive football, hard tackling, hard running, and so on.
Casemiro
so
and
you do
looking
wonder
at themselves thinking, Jesus.
You do wonder if Casemiro, how he'll fare. But I mean, it would be extraordinary if he got a vintage tune out of Casemiro. That would. Well, anyway, let's wait and see.
It'd be a crowning achievement.
It would be a crowning achievement, but it'd be up there with a trophy.
It would.
Or Jose Mourinho would certainly spin it that way.
Maybe it's as complicated as have someone near him to help him out.
Well, Lagarde,
I don't want to get too galaxy brain.
That's true. Could well be the man. But no, I think this does make sense, this appointment, and I think it's a good one. And also, when you say the Portuguese league is different, of course it is.
It's a bit farmery, isn't it?
I wasn't going to say that.
France is farmer, but they're like sexy farmer.
What I was going to say, Vish, if I can, but although I'm very happy to talk about sexy farmers, if that's what you were going with, is that a manager like Amorim at a club like Sporting, obviously the Portuguese sides tend to get quite a few players from South America, and they're very good at scouting them. But they have to be very innovative, as a lot of coaches do on the continent now. If you're not one of the very few super clubs abroad, or you're not managing a Premier League side and go, hey, go on, then we'll pay 40 million for him or something, you've got to be very innovative. And I wonder, with the financial situation at Manchester United, with the players that he has, actually, that innovation may well come into it. We know the cost-cutting measures that are going on there. We know it's going to cost a fair few quid, as it has done to sack Ten Hag and then get him in with the compensation they have to pay for Sporting. Actually, it could serve him well, because normally what happens is you go into Manchester United and you think, bloody hell, I've been managing in the Eredivisie or somewhere. Shitting hell, we've got a war chest. We've got a couple of $100 million to spend, and that's actually not what these managers are kind of used to.
And the talk is that he won't have that anyway.
No, of course.
In the short term.
So actually, that innovation, that kind of looking at it, going, right, what have I got here? What can I kind of construct? Will be fascinating to see what he can do. He does have a style of play. He's not like like an Allegri or an Ancelotti or something. But I honestly think it's a good fit, and I'm intrigued to see what he's going to do. Don't get me wrong, I've been enjoying what Manchester United have been doing in the last few seasons. Just let me say that for the record.
You hit it well.
You know what? Who knew? I'd convinced myself otherwise at times. But I don't know. Are you excited by this appointment?
I am. I'm excited for a lot of the reasons you articulated well there, actually, including fresh eyes on a squad that is a little bit all over the place and almost, in the last 2 months, been built towards the manager that's just walked out the building.
Yep.
So I'm interested to see what he makes of that. My reservation, I think I said it on Wednesday's show, that it's a great get for United. I don't know if it's necessarily a good fit for Amorim.
Yes.
And those kind of tactical things that he wants to implement, it's not like you hand them a docket and you're like, right, freshen up on this overnight and we'll go, we'll start tomorrow. It does take time, a lot of hours on the training pitch. It's coming into quite a busy period of the season now. There's no winter break either. So I'm curious as to where he's going to find that, or certainly how long it will take to build up the bank of contact time he needs to implement all of that stuff. Yes. But it is very exciting.
He did win the Portuguese League Cup.
Yeah, don't say that. I've had enough of people boasting about the League Cup. Which I'll be doing, hopefully,
in about to say that,
4 months' time. Yeah.
But I mean, look what he's achieved with Sporting. I mean, the first time, and was it
19 years?
It was 19 years, and then it won the league again. But of course, one of the things, everything is to a greater or lesser degree a gamble in football when you're bringing someone in, of course. So that goes without saying. And yes, he's not managed some of the big personalities. He's not managed a player of someone like Casemiro's profile. I mean, unless I'm forgetting one or two here, but you get what I'm saying, that kind of bigger names on that kind of stage. But I think Manchester United had to do something like this, unless it was to turn to Tuchel, somebody like that. But of course, that didn't happen. So I think it's.
It's the idea is essentially, presumably, when you get a manager in this young, that if it works out, they'll be like a legacy manager.
Well, you both grow.
And you build things. You give them what they want over time, and they can mould a huge club in their own image. Whether that's possible or not, I know you guys discussed that the other day, is yet to be seen. But in the short term, it strikes me as an exciting appointment for Man United fans, because it's important to remember, isn't it? The whole point of this is to enjoy it.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think you've got a way better chance of that under him than you had under what's just come.
Look, it could ruin his career at a young age as well.
Oh, no, absolutely. But that's his fault.
That's his decision.
Look, you've seen what we're like.
We didn't hide anything. We pointed the roof out.
You're the one who thought you were going to change us. That's on you, mate. Sorry.
Oh dear. They are playing Chelsea, Manchester United. We can't forget Chelsea with their straight-talking new manager. Is he still a new manager? I suppose he is.
He is.
And it's the perfect game for this, really, isn't it? Because anything could happen.
Oh, my
It's an
goodness.
absolute chaos ball.
Yeah.
Where's Jadon Sancho? Where is he?
Ooh, that is tidy.
Hey. But look, with Chelsea, I am quite. Enzo Maresca is one not to mince his words. I mean, even when he was talking about Mykhailo Mudryk midweek, did anybody see that there was a picture of like his kit and shin pads and boots in the changing room, and on his shin pads he had on one written the words can't, can.
Immanuel Kant, the philosopher?
I presume so.
Emre Can, the midfielder.
Again, just as likely as Pete's suggested.
There is nothing higher than reason, Marcus.
There isn't.
It's the head height rule for philosophers.
Very good.
Keep it on the deck.
Keep it on the deck.
He has a photo of a cat on the other one.
He does. I
Meow.
love a cat.
Possibly a pet.
Meow, meow, meow. That wasn't worth it, but let's move past that. I'm excited. New
It's
manager.
your Friday as well.
Thank you.
All right. We're all come one, come all.
I feel like after that I don't deserve one. Thank you.
Well, we could keep you behind. Your weekend starts at 7 p.m. on Saturday.
Could distract him with a ball of wool.
Yes.
If you want to sort of get him.
What bit of close control?
Yeah.
You have a ball. Yeah. Replace
What's
the
the
ball
opposite
with
of
a
catnip? What cats don't
Dog
like
nip.
cucumbers, do they? If you have a cucumber down your shorts, Mudryk will run away.
Why is it down there?
I don't know.
Where would you carry a bloody cucumber?
Yeah, come on.
In my hand, like a
In your
baton.
hand. You can't wave. Yeah, that's a foreign object. You can't wave that around. But
Yeah, we can.
if the referee sees a lumpy sword in your pants, no one's gonna question it, are they?
Is
They're
that
gonna
a
go, wow,
lumpy sword in your pants?
this Newcastle team are absolutely packing.
Well, I was going to say that Maresca spoke about Mudryk and said, we've been working with him. You know, he's a talented lad and so on. He is taking a little bit longer. He's
Right.
processing our thoughts and our ideas and our plans slower than some of the other players and so on. And again, like there seems this sort of almost like brutal honesty with Maresca, but so far it seems to be. I mean, I understand.
Did Maresca write it on Mudryk's shin pads?
He wrote the can't.
Yeah.
But I mean, I say his work. Obviously, there was the whole Raheem Sterling debacle, but he's now, at least on loan, moved on for the time being. But I don't know. He seems to be. As I say, I'm boring everybody with this. I've been quite impressed with it. But he's very straight talking, Jim. You can't deny it.
He is, yeah. And as you say, it seems to be getting a tune out of them, which perhaps that's what that squad needs. I mean, he's
You know where you
spoken
stand
about-
with him, and I think when there's that amount of players and so on, probably
he's
you might
spoken
need
about
them.
like
That's
leaders
exactly it.
not stepping up and stuff as well, hasn't he? Which is a challenge to his squad and a public challenge, which at this stage is clearly getting the response he wants.
How long do you leave it until the players turn on him?
Fortnight, hopefully.
There's a lot of players to turn, isn't there?
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. Oh God, it's
Again,
like West Side
PUBG.
Story.
Yeah, he's got-
That's his
100.
trick, isn't it? It's divide and conquer. It's
Yeah.
like they'd never have a consensus. I'll be okay.
they'd have to knock on so many doors
That's
to get
right.
enough votes.
Yeah,
They're not gonna do
indeed.
it.
That
Indeed.
WhatsApp group would take down the whole bloody system.
Coming up after this, Mikel Arteta continues to be mysterious.
I'm bored watching Newcastle.
Welcome back, everybody. Newcastle United, of course, beat the aforementioned Chelsea in the League Cup. Will be hosting Arsenal on tomorrow. At 12:30, Pete Donaldson.
Bit of fun.
Are you still celebrating that Carabao Cup win?
It was a interesting. Obviously, Chelsea rotated massively, and there were a couple of players having absolute stinkers. Certainly at the back, and Newcastle just sort of turned the screw, pressurised, and got a bit of value out of it. But yeah, it was a solid, like old school Eddie Howe, blood and pressure and gegenpress and all that good stuff in this match, and hopefully they'll have another go at this weekend against another pressing side, Mr. Arsenal.
Yeah, although the press hasn't been as intense this season, so that'd be an interesting matchup if they if Eddie Howe.
Why did they bring Saka on so late after when they're 3-0 up? Does
I
he
wondered
just need minutes? Or?
I wonder if it's just about rotating the minutes around the squad, because that seemed absolutely pointless to me as well. But yeah, I mean, he only played a little while. The game was won. Could easily have rested him, but like I say, it's probably about just giving other players breaks, I suppose.
Right. Yeah.
Give him a run out there. Well, Mikel Arteta believes that Gabriel Jesus' first goal in 9 months against Preston in the Cup this week, of course, will unlock him in front of goal.
Yeah, I would like that to be the case as well, to be honest. It's not scored since January before that.
His body needs locked down. It's too unlocked.
True.
Everything keeps stretching.
Yes. I mean, we spoke, didn't we, about Arsenal having not having that focal point as. I mean, that's kind of the chat's been a while. Kai Havertz has obviously been the man, but they could do with somebody chipping in with a few more goals because it's not been that fruitful in front of goal for Arsenal this season compared to last season.
No. It would help if they'd stop getting people sent off in ridiculous circumstances, obviously, but that only accounts for 3 games, I suppose. Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I feel like I'm not overly worried about that, though, to be honest. I think there was a point at the start of last season where things felt like they hadn't quite clicked into gear, and I expect that to change pretty soon. I think the Liverpool game, from an attacking perspective, was instructive of how, actually, this is a very, very good team, and they do have goals in them and they will score more. It just needs to be a bit more ruthless. As we've touched on before, it seems a strange thing about them. They do score a lot of goals, but it feels like they should score more.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably actually, because if you look at it, they've not struggled really in front of goal this season, so perhaps I'm slightly misguided. I think it's because I think about particular games, and you're right, setting off against Brighton or against Liverpool, I wanted to go a bit more, and I think maybe... there's a lot of chat at the moment about Arsenal. People saying, is Mikel Arteta more Mourinho than Guardiola? It seems to be a particular question that you see on social media at the moment. And I think with Arsenal, we're seeing a slightly different side to Arsenal this season than we did last season. But I think as a neutral, I'm kind of missing maybe a little bit more of what we saw last season.
I think it's still in there, mate.
No, of course it is. But the one thing that I am concerned a little bit about Arsenal for is that if you look at the games where they've dropped points in, or to just cherry pick a few of them, you think about Brighton with the sending off, and Bournemouth with the sending off. Again, if that happens to, say, as we spoke about Manchester City, for example, the team that they're trying to usurp, I don't really worry about Man City. As Vish, you said at the time against Bournemouth, you should have said, if that was Man City, you'd be like, we've angered them or something.
Although, I mean, it was... Saliba was sent off after about half an hour, which is a long, long time.
But that's the point, Jim. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's a long time to go with 10 men.
But I wonder if City could do it with 10 men for 2/3 of the game.
They can. I mean, I'm very confident they would, and that's. Sure. I think that's
they'd lose
the difference.
a bit of possession, but they've got a lot of possession.
But much was said about the game against Liverpool, and I thought you were a touch kind to both sides, actually, as we spoke about at the time. That Arsenal again, go and win it. I know it's easier said than done, but Liverpool. I think Liverpool are good, and I think Liverpool could be in a title race. In a few months' time, still purely for the fact that they just plod along, and Arsenal and Man City are dropping points. Now we think Man City will when they start getting players back from injury, and we'll speak about them in a bit, that could happen, especially around sort of January, February. We know they just suddenly hit fifth gear and they're away. But with Arsenal, I think there's already a little bit of a gap in between them and the top.
It's a false sense of security, mate. It's a deliberate ploy.
Yeah.
You have fallen for it.
Ooh,
again.
Right into the web.
I tell you what,
like every season.
I was about to
Come
say,
and have a seat.
I've fallen for it for the last 20 years, Jim.
Just so shows you how effective it is.
True, it's the last thing I'd be expecting. Yeah,
I think.
But you understand what I mean?
I think, there is a tendency for Arsenal to perhaps start sitting deep before they need to. Maybe
yes, that's definitely been an accusation.
Which has been a kind of problem in more recent seasons, less so last season than in seasons before. But I guess on the flip side of that, the moment that Arsenal did open up a little bit and tried to go hell for leather for a third goal was when Liverpool, went away on the break and got their equaliser. So.
But they were so dominant at times, and I just think
not so much in the second half. They didn't. It wasn't like they were sort of knocking hard on the door. But then I think that was by design. And I think perhaps they do retreat into that have what we hold mentality a bit early.
Fine. It strikes me though as Arteta at this time in the season is just thinking, let's just do enough to get the 3 points and hold something back. But it didn't. Like last season in particular, I know it's a different season for crying out loud, but they didn't look like they were too tired towards the end of the season, if you see what I mean. I could understand if there was a bit of a drop-off, but they were right there.
But I think they did play like this last season. This isn't just a product. This isn't just come out of overnight into the 24-25 campaign. They played like this last season.
They did Mourinho some teams.
Yeah,
so.
and I think they
Old
did.
Trafford was a great example.
Yeah, they did that brilliantly. Yeah, and I think they do that for 2 reasons. Because right at the moment, they have a few injuries, as they had a couple of points last season where they ended up playing this way, where they kind of armadillo themselves and right, well, just no one's going to get through. and it's to conserve energy because they don't have the same squad as City. And you're right. I was about to pick you up about you were saying City could do this, and then say to you, City are the best team in Europe, one of the best teams we've seen probably in the Premier League era. But then
it's also a mentality thing.
Yeah, but also you correctly said, but that is the team they're trying to usurp.
Yep.
So those are the standards they have to be held to, which is absolutely right.
I think you're going to see a good Arsenal side this weekend in tomorrow's afternoon match. I think it's going to. I think the way that Newcastle have conducted themselves in matches over progressive seasons under Eddie Howe against Arsenal, it really pisses Arteta off, and I think it's going to be really
electric and hostile.
I think it's going to be a really, really good match. I'm really looking forward to it.
Do you think it's deliberately been put at 12:30 because it's so angry?
So people have time to calm down before their tea.
Yeah. Well, Arteta has vowed to keep his team news secretive ahead of this one.
Again, quite similar to Eddie Howe because he just lies. He lies. Eddie Howe lies. Everyone just there's no point in going to any of the pressers because they just talk shit.
Are they even playing each other?
Well, we might turn up. We might not. Well, do you want some fresh Arteta press conference news? Friday press conference news?
Go on.
Yes.
Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta on Rúben Amorim's links with Manchester United. I cannot talk about these kinds of situations. Why? On being a young Premier League manager, fantastic, great. That's all he's got to say about anything.
Sounded like he wanted the job. I can't talk about it.
I'm really annoyed about it.
Well, he also said about his team news being secretive, I don't want to make it easy for anyone. The opponent has to work and think and prepare and make sure they do their homework, like I have to. I wish I knew their starting 11, who is on the bench, but I don't. It is our job to guess and do the work we have to do. It's a far cry from that time when Mourinho was Chelsea boss and sat there and went, this is what the Barcelona starting 11 is going to be tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Got it spot on.
I think a lot of the time Arteta can sound quite spiky in press conferences, but you do have to remember that sometimes he is directly answering Gary Cotterill
3 times a week.
Yeah.
So 3 times a week.
You would be annoyed.
Yeah. Well, indeed. But Newcastle are without a win in 5 league games.
Yeah, they could do with getting some points on the board.
They could do, but of course, in the League Cup, they got that win, so it's some encouragement
they know
for
that
those
tournament,
boys.
And they knocked out a side that knocked them out the year before. So
Revenge.
Revenge.
It did
They
feel
got Brentford next round as well. That's doable.
They did taking out West London one by one. They're going to come from my parents' house next.
The Cockney Mafia are falling brick by brick.
Revenge. I thought the Chelsea game was really promising. Or am I reading too much into that?
I think the 2 goals that were scored by Newcastle were just mistakes from Chelsea. So there was that. I think Chelsea were really good first 20 minutes, and then Newcastle just sort of came into it a bit more.
That shows a sharpness that's been missing, though, right?
Buoyed by scoring a couple of goals from open play, which is 1 goal from open play. It's such an important thing to do in football, isn't it?
Joe Willock looked a bit old Joe Willocky as well.
Yeah. He does. He's not had a great. It was a long absence back in the last season, and he's come back and he's not looked old Joe Willock, but we don't need the old Joe Willock because he literally just saved Steve Bruce's season every time, didn't he?
And that still annoys you.
He saved it by playing well, though, right?
The team play well.
By scoring 10 goals out of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
Every match.
Why are you annoyed? I love it because he's forgiven Ashley. He thinks it was Joe Willock that kept Bruce in the job.
Bloody Willock.
1 tyrant down, 1 more to go.
Wouldn't have needed the fucking takeover if Willock had taken us down.
Deary me.
It would have been an unattractive situation for them.
Pete, I'm hearing that I obviously didn't watch the game. I've seen the highlights, but I watched the Arsenal game instead, obviously. But I'm hearing Sandro Tonali had a really impressive performance.
He did. I mean, he's
timely.
He's been very
Gary
good.
Cotterill, I'm hearing the Sandro Tonali. Firstly, you
That's
read
the
it.
worst thing you've ever said to me.
Well, if you will leave yourself open.
He's been very good at international level, and he's just repeating his international form at club level. Yeah, he looks great.
Good.
But he was signed for a shitload of money, and he's a Rolls Royce of a footballer, and yeah, good.
And he looks like the baddie from the new Star Wars films.
Adam Driver.
Adam Driver. He does look a bit Adam Driver-y.
They are. Coming up after this, Cristiano Ronaldo fails again. Before we get to Cristiano Ronaldo, Spurs are hosting Aston Villa in the Premier League on Sunday at 2 p.m. I think this is a tasty one.
This has got massive ding-dong potential, isn't it?
Oh, a lot of ding-dong stuff going on. Aston Villa wore custom Black Sabbath kits in their Carabao Cup match against Crystal Palace as a part of a collaboration with Aston Villa fan Ozzy Osborne.
I am Brian, man. That's a reference to Brian Little.
Nice. Yeah.
Do you think
Nobody
we all
talks about Brian
understood
Little
that.
anymore.
I know.
I'd like everyone to talk about Brian Little a bit more.
Yeah, the club haven't moved on
No.
since he left.
Crying out loud.
He was little, right? I haven't just
he was quite
edited
tall,
that in my
wasn't he?
mind. I
No,
picture him. Maybe
I'm hearing contrasting things.
You mean
First
like-
he's massive, now he's short. How tall was Brian Little? And why would that even be on his Wikipedia? We didn't sort of like get those things down back in the day. It's like Jimmy Young being old.
Yeah, it's that conspiracy theory about Brian Little. Jim's gone right down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
On.
I think I think you're confusing him with the little mouse.
Yes. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. What did you think about the Black Sabbath kits, Peter? I mean, they lost the game, so it wasn't a good omen.
Not a lucky one.
he's
no,
5'7".
Yeah,
He wasn't 5'7", was he?
That is little. That is little.
What Google said.
Pete,
Fair
what are you saying?
Yeah,
Sorry, I mean,
That's
massive.
Brian Little, the manager, not Stuart Little, the mouse.
I've got an ankle
mouse.
injury, Vish, so I've been putting lifts at my shoes. So I've gained an inch.
Black Sabbath kits.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I mean, it's just the same kits, but with Black Sabbath written on the bottom.
Yeah.
It's hardly. It's more of a sponsorship than a specific kit, though, is it?
It does feel a bit like they thought of it that day.
Yeah.
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 Did they play like War Pigs?
Good one.
Yeah.
Good one. I
I was a bit paranoid that wouldn't work,
Oh, there it is.
and I'd be a Children of the Grave
Yeah.
if it went down badly.
The thing about Black
assume that's
Sabbath
another
is
one.
they've got 3 films.
Yeah, I was about to say you went.
And you do run out after 3, don't you?
You did
Yeah.
push the boat out there.
You get a bit snowblind, don't you? 1972, Volume 4, by the way.
Yeah.
It's quite fitting, actually, because they were playing quite close to Halloween, and Jack Osborne has turned from just being a reality TV star to being a reality TV star that does ghost stuff.
Yes.
He just does a lot of shows where
Wildly
he goes
different
into
genres.
spooky abandoned jails looking for ghosts, and then when he realises he doesn't really have the star potential needed for such a show, he does show videos of the clips to his parents.
Right.
It's really lame shit.
Oh, what a shame.
Stream it now on Discovery Plus.
Well, there we are. They lost to Palace, as I say.
Yeah, what a shame.
And they drew 1-1 with Bournemouth previously in the Premier League, which was, I mean, such a late equaliser, of course. So with Villa, they will be looking to win the game because that's how competitions work.
They're very Europe focused.
Well, they
That's
are,
the only thing they're interested in. They're top of that league, pretty much. They don't care.
They'll get us back in the
They
EU.
are top of it.
Pretty much.
But of
It's
course,
the worst thing you've ever said to me, Jim.
they are on 18.
I'm hearing that's bollocks.
Yeah. They're on 18 points, the same as Arsenal. Of course, they're 5 points off the top of the Premier League. Are they going to prioritise the Champions League, the Premier League, or maybe they're waiting for the FA Cup? I don't know. But they're fighting on all
want to do
fronts.
well in all of them. Emery's not going to be going, prioritise the Champions League. Prioritise the Champions League.
Stop pressing for an
Exactly,
equaliser.
yeah. Don't worry about hitting them on the break. Is
that why they let-
prioritise the Champions League?
Is that why they let in a goal against Bournemouth? Well, don't worry
exactly.
about
Don't
it.
worry about it.
Yeah,
if you let it in here, we're not going to let it in Europe. That's just
Get it-
maths.
Just get out your sister there.
Get it out of there.
Yeah,
Get it
I
out
mean,
of
You've
there.
got Club Brugge in a bit.
This is
6th of November.
excellent set of circumstances for the neutral, though, right?
It is.
Because Villa do need a win.
Yes.
Spurs are off the back of a good result, but still, smarting from a couple of bad ones. Spurs are at home. They've only lost 1 game at home this season.
Who was that to, Jim?
That was, who that was to. It was Arsenal. Mickey van der Ven is looking like he's going to be unavailable, which is a big miss for Spurs because he just eats up ground. So yeah, I mean that's
good news for Ollie Watkins
and the neutral
and the neutral.
and John Duran.
Yes, of course. I think. I tell you what's caused a bit of a story. We mentioned this on the Discord. Is your shout of Emi Martinez being Aston Villa's best player, Vish? Would you like to suggest who their second best player is so we can get a bit more chat going on?
John McGinn, probably.
Oh, that's just nonsense.
Why is it nonsense?
McGinn-Iniesta.
Why is it nonsense?
Yes.
Ollie Watkins, come on.
Yeah, but like
He's very
they
one.
wouldn't tick without McGinn.
No, isn't he?
How many England caps has John McGinn got?
That is not the.
Here we go.
Oh, you don't like it because he plays for the old enemy.
Are they still an enemy?
I don't know.
Hey, Marcus, Timo Werner's knocking them in.
He is knocking him in.
Did you hear our Scottish producer Rory?
Yeah.
His reaction to that?
I did hear
It's
that,
great.
and it's what I wanted. And amazingly, Pete came to my rescue
Yeah.
with Timo Werner.
Yeah.
Because we're all pro-German now, of course, thanks to Tommy Tukes.
Yeah.
So many old enemies, haven't we?
Yeah, can Werner play for us now? Is that how it works? But he did score a goal.
He did. It looked out of the. I hope this starts something for him because he's not had a great time. But
I know what you mean.
Brendan Johnson couldn't score for fucking toffee for quite a while, and he's been having a lovely old time.
And he hasn't won the Champions League, unlike Timo. I know what you mean. There's something about Timo.
It looks so
Werner.
assured, and I think the finish just told you everything you need to know about Timo Werner. If he's got time to think about things, he fucks it up.
Yeah.
If he's just got to get that shot away, he's beautiful at it.
He did miss 2 decent chances in that game as well. So you saw that side of his game.
Slowly
as well.
but surely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'd like him to start scoring because as a footballer, there's something quite likeable about him as a footballer. I know he's very unpopular in Germany. I forget the reasons why.
It's probably Leipzig related, isn't it?
Leipzig related. I think did he dive once? Was there a famous?
Oh no!
Or an infamous?
Yeah, you can't be a famous German if you dive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you end up managing the US though.
Yeah.
I hope he starts to click. But I think this one is potentially got goals in it because you think about how Spurs responded to that loss against Palace, which losing to a side who hadn't won all season, it was quite a damning one. As we said, Spurs have been a bit of a mixed bag. You know, Luke talked about it on Ramble Reacts. There are sections of the Spurs fans now that are getting a little bit annoyed with Ange and the way he plays. I mean, the few Spurs fans I know, obviously they only speak for themselves, they're still all in on Ange. Love the attacking philosophy. Still, think this is just a phase. It'll still come good. Still believe in him, and that old sort of style mentality that Spurs kind of have, in preferring to kind of play on the front foot and so on, is still there. And Ange will always try to do it.
Yeah,
better to fail at something you love.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, I think that's spot on. I think a couple of the Spurs fans that I know, their only criticism of Ange, and obviously they're fully invested, but their only criticism of Ange at times is that, like, sometimes when you can see the game unfolding a certain way, just temper the way you're playing.
Yes.
Although, curiously,
in-game management could be a...
Well, I mean, there is in-game management. It's just not tailored to a more defensive streak.
Okay.
And I think I don't know if this was a pro for that, but it certainly felt it the way I was watching it. But in the second half of that Man City game, Man City were all over them, and their moments of respite came from counter-attacking.
Yes,
because they would literally take the ball to the complete opposite end of the pitch. And they would knacker themselves out by doing it. But then it would also be like, Archie Gray, who didn't have a great time against Matheus Nunes at right back, would still play the ball. So he would like play 1-2s in tight spaces and then get the ball free. And they just buy them moments of, rest and recovery, but also give them something to worry about. And it does work, but it has to be so slick.
Yeah.
Like any person who is slightly off time with their pass or takes an right touch, the whole thing falls apart, which is why I think they can lose to a team who haven't won all season, or they can capitulate in certain games because one person's off and the whole thing goes.
Yeah, it's a good observation.
The Spurs motto is "To dare is to do," and I like that it's like Ange has just read the instructions basically. It's like, this is what you're telling me to do.
Yeah,
it's written up there.
I think the other thing to say about this fixture is, I feel like Spurs left a lot out there against Man City, and they'll be knackered. And Villa weren't quite first 11, but their first 11 players came off only with about 10 or so minutes to go. So it feels like Villa will be the fresher of the two.
Okay, well, we will find out. Of course, it wasn't that long ago where we were talking about the anniversary of Steven Gerrard being sacked by Aston Villa and the remarkable change in fortunes for that club under Emery. Flown up the league into the Champions League, top of that, and so on. Well, let's have a Steven Gerrard update, everybody. Fans in Saudi have been calling for the former Aston Villa manager to resign after they were knocked out of the Saudi Cup by a second division side. It's remarkable what's happened to Steven Gerrard in his career, because lest we forget, at Rangers, he was good.
Yeah.
And people certainly win with the league with Rangers. Well, actually, in the context of
a
it,
very easy club to manage. Yeah, clearly.
Well, but, yeah, exactly.
The expectation of the fans. Celtic.
But totally. But he was in charge to stop Celtic winning 10 in a row, which, of course, both clubs have done 9 in a row. So it was huge pressure under him. They won it, unbeaten in the league that season, had impressive campaigns in Europe. He was looking good as a manager. Yeah. Left, I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing, obviously left too early, and I know the Rangers fans are a bit pissed off that he left. Villa was an attractive offer. I get that. But since then, I know we've only got Villa, and anybody can fail at a Premier League club, right? I mean, Emery, Arsenal, bigger club and so on, but a more experienced manager.
His methods looked outdated, though, didn't they?
Totally,
And they just weren't kind of essentially appropriate for the Premier League at times. It looked that bad. It's remarkable where Villa are since, and you forget that Gerrard was their last manager almost, because they seem like a different club. But the most damning thing, I think, about the criticism Gerrard has been facing is that one of the reasons he's getting this criticism is because apparently he's been arranging training around watching Liverpool games. Like, that is damning.
I mean,
that's something we do.
I mean,
I'm going to have a 2-hour dinner. It's a very different time every week.
He said the players are onto me now. It's like, I mean,
who could have leaked this information? Damari Gray, the ex-Everton player, who's now playing. He's plying his trade there. 28.
We got a little conspiracy theory going on
I'm
here.
just saying Damari Gray is leaking news about Steven Gerrard being rubbish. Sure. And also the league table as well.
Doesn't lie. 10th, haven't won since the
Has the league table been leaking that Gerrard's not a good manager?
I think that's what it is. Elsewhere in Saudi, Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr are out of the cup. This happened, I think it was on Tuesday. They lost 1-0. And Ronaldo had a 96th minute penalty, which he skied over the bar. The missed penalty apparently hit a fan's phone.
It hit a kid, and he knocked his phone out of his hand and he fell over.
He had his knackers on a dustbin lid.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got one question. Has Lionel Messi ever hit a football against this kid's phone?
No. Not to my knowledge.
No.
I mean, probably the kid was filming. Probably Ronaldo thought, this will look cool. Yeah. I'll do you a favour here.
Let's see the footage.
It's like a Nike advert.
Yeah,
the footage doesn't seem to have emerged.
Right.
I tell you what you have seen before. This.
Dean Smith also said an encyclopedia of football.
A what?
An encyclopedia of football.
I don't know what that means.
I do not think it's wise for you to rib me, Marcus, because I am adjudicating this game of Jack's Encyclopedia.
Wow.
And before you try and have a go at me saying I was too cowardly to fight for the title, what I will say is, a wise man once said, leave Jack's Encyclopedia before Jack's Encyclopedia leaves you.
Your tone has changed. You sound like a king.
I am a king, thank you. I'm not don't say short king. I am king, full stop.
Oh, you.
So you know the game, it's everyone shut up. You know the game is a game of categories.
He's got the buttons, he's gone wild.
Yeah, I have. One of these, blank ID too. I really want to press that one above all of them. It's a game of categories. I'm going to give you said category and you just got to name them and stuff. Just answer correctly. The last person in wins, something like that. I'm going to start with Jim because he's to my left. We're going to go around in a circle. So, Jim, you're tasked with the fast answer for the 20 teams that have lost the most matches in Premier League history. It's the total across the entirety of the Premier League. 20 teams, go.
Okay, I'm going to go for Norwich.
Oh, Norwich. Interesting. And it's wrong. It's a bad start by Jim Campbell.
Okay, that's
Pete,
bad thinking by me.
Pete, you have to name one of 20 teams that have been in the Premier League for as long as,
No, I've got one at least. West Ham.
West Ham. 446 defeats.
Everton.
I'm
annoyed at myself here.
452 defeats. Pete, you again.
Can I go for Southampton, please?
Can go for Southampton, and that's 403 defeats in your bag.
Taking a few of my answers there. Sunderland.
It's a good one.
296.
I like it. Oh, can I go for Fulham, please?
Sod off.
Fulham, 290 defeats.
Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace, 263. We're rattling through these.
Oh.
Pete again.
Norwich?
Oh.
He's already said it.
Oh, have you already said it? Oh, shit.
He's already said it and it was already wrong. So, Marcus, you need this for a point.
It's Torres to give
Spurs.
a place in the Champions League final.
Yeah, it's correct. 398 points. I suppose what you're looking for there is longevity.
Longevity and those who have won the league.
Yeah.
Did
so that Bolton one
Newcastle sneak in there?
Well, I had Newcastle down.
They stormed in there. 400. 409
They're in the middle of a wall of
defeats.
death.
That's the third most. So I'll just like all the big teams are in there. So Manchester are in there, Liverpool are in there, Arsenal are in there. But then you've got like Bolton Wanderers, Blackburn Rovers, West Bromwich Albion. So
you were unlucky with Norwich.
Leeds United. So
see, incredible.
Leeds.
Yes. Norwich are 24th, by the way, in terms of the most defeated Premier League teams across
Double
the Premier
losers.
League era.
Where are the big teams I guess, that are not in there would be...
I don't know. Well, Middlesbrough are in there.
Real Madrid are not in there.
Yeah, Real Madrid.
on there.
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Yeah, the Hurricanes, nowhere to be seen. Now, the second category, Pete, I'm starting with you.
Okay.
You're a foodie, so you might get this.
Right.
Here we go.
The top 20 pies in English football, according to the website Pie Rate.
This is ridiculous.
In the whole FL...
In the whole of English football.
Right.
Sorry. This is absurd for me to ask this. As in the clubs with the best pies.
The clubs with
rated pies.
best
Yeah.
rated pies
Yeah.
on the website pierate.com.
Because I just wrote down chicken and
Pie
mushroom.
Balti. Right. I'm going to go for...
And this is in England or the UK? So.
This is in English football.
English
so
football,
I'll just let me do a quick check. All these teams are in England, yeah.
Right, okay.
I'm going to go for Leeds.
Leeds.
Piss off.
I had Leeds.
Yeah.
I'll have Leicester City.
Leicester City.
I'm going to go for Manchester City because Sam Allardyce once praised their food very heavily.
Manchester City.
Hey!
You're in.
Fair
You are in. And
Well done.
you get the point as well.
Well done, Jim.
So it's 1-1.
With the words
nil.
Manchester City, you've managed to win an entire round. That's excellent work.
Ooh, yeah. So this is the third category. Pete, you can win this to get us to a tiebreaker.
Right. Yep.
Jim and Marcus, this is both for the win. Marcus, you're starting now.
Jim, you could get the belt if you win this.
Yeah.
And this is player related. I love this one actually. The top 20 corner takers in the Premier League since the 2006-2007 season. So it's not necessarily about success rate from corners, it's who has taken the most
Taken the
corners.
most corners
right.
Since 2006-2007.
Bloody hell.
20 names.
Okay.
Go.
James Ward-Prowse.
James Ward-Prowse is correct.
Since 2000.
And 6-7.
God. Okay. Blimey. Steven
Mossad.
Oh,
Gerrard?
sorry, the wrong one. Steven Gerrard is correct.
Whoa, well played.
Oh. Kieran Trippier?
Oh, like it.
Kieran Trippier. Ooh, just a bit too late in the league, I think.
Piss.
Sorry,
unlucky.
Peter.
That's just... And he took a year off.
Kevin De Bruyne?
Kevin De Bruyne is there.
I like it.
Why did I
Nicely
doubt
done.
myself?
What did you? Gonna go for Frank Lampard.
Frank Lampard is there.
Blimey.
Kieran Trippier, 26th, by the way, of the top 20. Maracus.
I'm going to have a quality streak.
Oh, have you got a spare?
No, I'm sure I brought him. Sorry. I love this game.
It's Torres to give Chelsea a place in the Champions
John Joe Shelby.
John Joe Shelby is wrong, I'm afraid. Jim, this is for the
Chance
win.
for victory.
Go on, Jim.
For the belt.
Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Jim Campbell!
The Norwich debacle.
No.
Oh, even
So,
another one.
6-7. I wondered if you were going to get this from the mention of Steven Gerrard early, but it's a who's who
Is it?
of corner takers.
Oh,
it's
no.
your Ashley Youngs, it's your Christian Eriksen, it's your Gylfi Sigurdssons, it's your Chris Brunts, it's your James Mills, your Pascal Gross,
Milner, I was gonna say
Stuart
Milner.
Downing, Morton Gamst, Pedersen,
I'd have never
Nice.
got
God, a
it.
lot
Fair
of
play,
those,
Jim.
Nathan
Yeah.
Baines, Mikel Arteta.
I had Baines in there. Mikel Arteta.
It's a good it's a good round, that. I enjoyed that.
Jim wins the
done it.
title.
He's got
You've
it.
got it. And I feel
Yes.
like this is a little bit WWE with me as a special guest referee.
Yeah.
Because there'll be talk of hijinks
Yeah.
and whatnot, but I played it fair. I was a nuisance to all of you.
And now you're going to throw some
kind of-
cans into your hands.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like you hadn't played it fair until like now. Why are you saying this?
You won, wait, rat me out. Ludicrous.
Well, there we are, everybody. Jim Campbell is leading the charge into the weekend with his belt on because the keys are in the lock. Get yourselves out there. Thank you very much for listening to the Football Ramble, part of the Acast Creator Network. We're back tomorrow for the mailbag. Do follow us on X, TikTok and Instagram at Football Ramble, and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. It's time for Pitbull. Thank you, Vish.
You're a loser now.
Thank you, Jim.
Cheers, loser.
Thank you, Petey.
Tune, Black White Army.
And thank you, Pitbull.
Cheers for watching another fantastic clip from the Football Ramble podcast. Make sure you click like on this video and subscribe to the channel, which means you will not miss a single upload.